I thought this second one was going to be a bit easier. I thought hardest bit was talking about doing something. Turns out it's actually acting on your words. I should have known that. And also, this was supposed to be about my first week back at gym. I'll explain about that and why it's not gone to plan. It's not all bad news, so stick with me on this one as I'll update you on my progress. There has been some, but not what I thought. I could have said I'd been, couldn't I? I could have edited it nicely. And when I do go, I could make it like a montage, but it's not about that. It's not about the visuals at all. There's no point saying I've been. I haven't been. The reason I didn't go is, there's a couple of reasons, but let's just be right. I had more reasons not to go than to go in my own head. So my head won this week. But that's one little setback. That's me just being real and telling you. I got as far as going, and then I didn't go in. I wonder how many people do that. And I was pissed off with myself. So mad that I'd actually got a plan to go. Made sure my membership were up to date and stuff like that. And I didn't go. Inside, I went to the car park, sat there for 5 minutes, took a water bottle, I had a drink, got back in the car, and pissed off back home. Not good. Been playing on my mind that, like I've failed already, it's only first week. And that's not what it's about. Again, I've got to keep reminding myself that's not why I'm doing this. It's perseverance, it's persistence, it's trying again, but it's never perfection. Because, let's be right, it don't exist, does it, perfection? But it's not all been bad. There has been some major changes already, and already, fly on my nose, I've started to feel benefits, but it's not been easy. It has been a challenging one. Definitely been a challenging week. I tell you what, knocking sugar on head, literally stopping sweet stuff, making right decisions when it comes to junk food, and cutting down on carbs and cutting down on sugary things. I'll show you a little clip about how I got on with that. But I'm no doctor, so I don't know if it was related to how I was feeling at the time. But after a few days, I don't feel as bad. But here's a little video I made after a day or so giving up sweet drinks, sugar in my tea and that type of thing. So have a little look at this. It'll give you an idea. My head's banging. I think it's coming off sugar. I'd say the worst part so far in the morning, like making a drink and having some biscuits. So I got into that habit, like when I'm taking my tablets in the morning first thing, like I'm not hungry when I get up. Sometimes it's like 5 a.m. If I'm working, that type of thing. I don't fancy food. Like I've never really been like fancying it before I set off out of the house. But they're everywhere, aren't they, biscuits? Do you know what I mean? You can't escape. And my mother, I've told her I had to work from home and she was bobbing in with a cup of tea and a biscuit. And I said, look, no offence, Mum, and I know you mean well, because she's from that old school where she likes to treat you, feed you, you know what I mean? Bless her, I love her to bits, but I said, no, I can't have cups of tea like this and biscuits. I tell you something, if I could see that bloody, whoever invented biscuits, Mr. McVitie or whatever his name is, whoever it is, they really caused me jip trying to quit them. I could wring his bleeding neck. Biscuit. What's the point? They make you badly. I know you can enjoy them, can't you, if you're having a treat, but Jacobs, is it, or Vitty? Who else makes biscuits? Bastards. Is that normal? It is for me to moan about stuff. Is that normal? Do you feel like that when you're quitting stuff? Because it's like it's meant to be like an addiction. Almost an addiction, making wrong choice. Rewiring your head into making a choice, and it's that thing in your head that says, I'm not missing out because it weren't a treat to start with. I've got some of this Manuka honey. It's proper good, apparently good for your joints. So I figured that this might help me curb that kind of sweet craving that I've got. We're cutting out mostly all sugar, and I'm going to have that in a black coffee in the morning. I've told everybody to keep the paws out of my honey pot, because at £8 a chuck, man can't afford to keep going back to the shop, like, can we? Apparently this used to be stocked in Lidl cheaper and Aldi and places like that, but people were stealing it. I didn't have I I did pay for it, and you can get it cheaper online, and you can buy it in, higher strength online. But I'm going to tell you how I get on with it. So yeah. I was actually doing myself damage. The treat is to think about what you're doing and treat your body to something a bit healthier, or to not reach for sugary drinks, to not reach for sugary pop, fizzy pop, soda and stuff that's just going to knacker my body up, or that's been knackering my body up. So, yeah, what I was saying, to catch you up to speed, is the purpose of this vlog. And it's part 2 in what's definitely going to be a series, because I've had some setbacks, and I've had some... Oh, that's a big bird. And I've had some progress. So it's definitely worth checking back in. It worth for me anyway, to keep this going, keep the momentum going, and documenting this not so good week. But like I said, and coming up, you'll see there has been some brilliant progress, and something that I got myself into that I think I might be starting to get myself out of. And when I got myself into it, I didn't know what I was setting on here. Yeah, I'm talking about the elephant in the room, vaping. I'm talking about vaping. And I might have got some good news about that. So stick with this one till end, because I'm pretty proud of myself, if I'm honest. So yeah, why am I beating myself up about first week? I had an idea, I had a plan to go back to the gym. We're going to go to the gym for a couple of times on my days off, because I've worked most of this week. But when I got there, I sat there and I was just not comfortable enough to get up and go in. And I'm mad with myself that I didn't do that. So I sat in car, thought about it. And like I said, I drove home. But let me explain something as to why that's such a big thing to me. And you might be thinking, well, everybody does it. So, gymming and going to gym and being part of a gym, I've not been for over a decade, if not more, going up to maybe 15, 20 years. I've not been going regular. Oh, you've not been going regular, JT? That wants to try prunes. And why it's so big to me is, I don't know if I've shared this story before, that I was bullied quite a lot at school. And again, I'm not doing this for sympathy, but mum and dad didn't know what to do really for me well-being back then. And luckily I'd got really good parents that looked out and could see that I weren't myself. Even though they were running shop all those hours, they still could see I weren't right. So yeah, I weren't right socially. I were quite inward, and I was getting bullied. So my dad had a word with one of his friends, a local person who were a builder, who were a bit into fitness, but not professional. But like he went to the gym and he had a routine. And he said, "Would you mind taking my lad, taking John along?" And thank God he did, because I remember at night I was nervous building up to it. My dad says, "You get some shorts on, you go into the gym. One of my mates will look after you. You're going to walk down to the gym and see what it's about. You don't have to go, John, if you don't like the look of it. You don't have to go. I'll pay either way for a week for you. See if you get on with it." Which, I was walking down Swinton with this guy who I'd only really spoke to a few times. I was about 17, something like that. They called him John. And he was a bit of a boy, he was a nice lad, like. And we got chatting, and anyway, because I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was going to see in this gym, because I'd got like ideas going back, probably stuff off telly, what I'd seen in films, big muscly blokes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or big gyms like you see in, all chrome equipment, massive mirrors, people posing and looking at each other and walking, and you feel awkward. Anyway, I walked in, it couldn't be any further from my initial expectations, which were totally wrong, and I'm glad they bloody were, because it was a small gym. We manufactured steel weights, almost like homemade benches, machines, mostly free weights, and like I said, constructions that looked like they'd been made by somebody who liked making stuff out of steel. And it was, I'd refer to it as like almost like, they says spit and sawdust, but what that means is no frills. It was nice, cool, big double garage. I have fond memories. Little ghetto blaster playing radio, a couple of rugs down, a couple of mirrors. One were a bit cracked, you know what I mean. But everybody, when I walked in, like, all right, there were no egos whatsoever. Nobody taking piss. Nobody. All right, young'un, fancy coming here then? Does I want to be like Schwarzenegger, and just having that bit of banter straight away. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. These guys, these people here, they seem all right, and I loved it. And I went back, and I went back every week, at least 3 times a week from that day, right up until probably my early 30s. So for a lot of my life, I went to this gym and I loved it. And training were like Nautilus training, which I'm probably going to bore people that are not interested in weights and stuff like that. But all I'll say then is it's like a slow, heavy resistance training, if you like. There were curls, there were bench pressing, there were seated press, there were pec deck, leg extensions, leg curls, that type of thing. But it was very basic, and we went round with no pissing about. As soon as you finish one routine, you were onto another, onto another, onto another. And it was like a family-run business, Moran's of Swinton, that absolutely wonderful family that kind of took me under the wing, really, and took a lot of people that weren't quite sure, and showed them that they could, believe in what they could achieve and believe in themselves. And we got through some big weights down there, and people felt better for going. I certainly felt a lot more stronger, and my confidence grew. My confidence did grow, because I was still a young man, and I was talking to people that maybe were working, or on next phase up from me, or that have got family, and we'd speak about things between training. Not much, because Mick wanted you boom boom boom, and Sue, bless them, they wanted you to train properly, and there were no room for standing about chatting. But in between, if you were waiting to go on, boom boom boom, you might have a little quick chat, and it helped me socially. It helped me confidence grow, and then obviously family life. We moved away and that type of thing, and I went to one of these sort of gyms that you pay, subscription for, which it was more like getting in car for half an hour to get there. Loads of people, and it were the exact kind of people standing about, chrome and all that, people on the phones, and I don't know. Maybe that's my excuse, but yeah, I didn't stick it out. I haven't stuck it out since. So when I didn't get to the point where I needed to be, I felt bad this week about it. I felt bad that I didn't go through them doors. I felt like chuffing now. I dare go back up, but I have come back on camera to explain that I couldn't go through it. I could. It's not scared. I don't think I was scared at pain, although it's. I don't know if that's subconscious, but I think the fear were going back in and not being able to do what I used to do. Or I don't know. Looking daft probably, like looking silly. People looking at you. I don't know. It's here. It's up here, isn't it? It's just me here. I've got to. So there's a plan. Which I'm really pleased to say that one of my mates, a good friend, reached out and said, JT, do you go to such and such gym? And I'm like, well, I should be, but I haven't gone properly back. It's like, no, don't worry, I go. I'm like, you're joking. Yeah, so I'll leave it a bit of a surprise, but the person who I didn't even know that they went to that gym, a good friend of mine, and he said next time he's off shift, he's going to go and wait for me, so we're going to go together. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to be, I think that's like what I need, just to go in with somebody. He just shows me where stuff is then, and I don't feel like a bit of a pillock. And then obviously when he's training, if we're both off, we can have a session together. And yeah, I think that's gonna help me. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I did get actually something to kind of counter that, to make me feel a bit easier about things, because when we work in shifts as well, I thought if I get a few, a couple of curls, a couple of weights at home, then I can probably do a little bit there as well. So I've started doing a few curls, and I feel that feels like I've at least done that, whereas I wouldn't have looked at getting some curls, getting some weights back in. I wouldn't have thought of that. So maybe it's going to be a bit steadier, that, for me. But yeah, I've got some weights this week. I paid, I think, 30 quid for them or something from Amazon. Like, my intention were use them as well as gym, but as it's worked out this week, lifting them in house, that were a workout. And then setting them up, and I've had a couple of sessions with them. Yeah, so I'm glad I did put that in place, because I've got them as well. If you don't like me though, and you just have a gym at home, I've never had a gym at home. I don't think I'd find an obstacle, because I know how my head works, to even do that. So this is why I'm committing, obviously, to a series now, because I realise that it's not going to be as easy as what I first thought. So yeah, I'm glad I did put the camera on. But like I said right at the beginning, I thought that was the biggest hurdle, opening up and saying I've got this issue I'm going to deal with. Dealing with it is the issue as well. It don't go away, and like I said, I've got that accountability now, so I've got to do it. I'm not sure if it will get any windier, if I'm honest with you. I've come outside. I'm on nights tonight, so it's towards the end of the week now. I've come outside. The headaches have gone down a bit, which is good, so not as much headaches. I've left my vape in house to see how long I can actually go at it. I might even try and forget it on way to work. So that'll be a real challenge for me, and that's been one of the hardest things towards the end of this week, is trying to stay away from it. So far I've not been able to do it. I'm only being honest. Mostly sugar's gone. The headaches have subsided, which is alright, isn't it? God, it's windy. I'll just show you how windy it is, hang on. So I think this is a win, me, this week. I think it is a win. I've looked at that vape that were around my neck. I thought, you can stay in draw, you, for a day. Oh, well, I didn't think that. I thought, I'm leaving you in draw and purposely forgetting you for a day. And let's see how long that lasts. yeah, felt twitchy as hell. I felt shocking. My head were all over the place. I couldn't concentrate. I thought, right, at least I've got through these couple of hours. I'd normally be puffing my head off. And then I thought, let's just pretend that it's alright. And I'll just go to work. Worst case scenario is if I have a complete panic attack at work, on my dinner I can go to the shop and get a disposable, get my teeth in, disposable vape. But, hey, I got through it. So, let me tell you, am I vaping again now? Or, I think there's somebody following me. Am I vaping now then? Have I stopped? Did it last for more than a shift? Or did I go to that shop towards end at shift and start vaping again? Let me tell you the first bit. How I even started to vape and why I was vaping. Because it's bizarre, this. And when I think about it, doesn't make much sense. I started vaping, but I'd never even smoked. Never bought a cigarette in my life. Never bought a packet of cigs. Never had nicotine. Never looked and thought, that's cool. Here's a drag of that cig. Never. I used to be disgusted by it at school. I weren't bothered. Never smoked a full cig. I might have had a little try when I was, had a drink or something and thought, bloody hell, that's horrible. But I have not ever bought cigs, smoked cigs, been a smoker, ever. So why did it start? Well, it's bizarre, this. When I were having my CBT sessions, when I'd had my breakdown, one of the practices that I was doing were grounding. Now, if anybody knows what that is, it's basically, like your senses, making sure that you can hear, feel, touch, see, and calming yourself down by doing something, that'll keep you sort of grounded. Some people like to go outside and look at nature and take things in and what have you. And what I chose to do is have some time on my own and put a record on, because I love music, don't I? As you probably know. So, what were good about that we're just getting back into vinyl before we had house fire. I've never not had vinyl records. I've never not had a record player. But I had started listening to more records on my turntable before we had fire. So I wanted to continue with that. Now I started to, deal with things and have CBT. And one of the things I said were, that'll be good as grounding because you sat there at least until first side goes, and then you have to get up and put reverse at record on. So you sat there, aren't you, because you want to listen to the song, and you can't go far because you'll have to flip record over and put needle back on. So yeah, it was that. So it worked. Grounding worked for me by listening to records, being in the room or on my own. Told everybody, get out an hour. This is my time now. I'm just going to listen to some music and go through some exercises. And that's what I used to do. And where it went weird is one of my sons had a vape. And whilst I was listening to this record at the time, I says, Gizzer, go on that before you go. He says, no, you don't want this. You've never smoked. You don't vape. I says, Gizzer, go, let me have a see. So I had a puff on it, and I think it was something like grape or something really sweet. And I was like, yeah, it's alright that. But I weren't bothered. Let him go. He took it with him, that were it. The time after I got it, I went in and got it off him. He says, let me have another try of that. What you got today? I got lemonade today. Lemonade? Give that a go. And I didn't get him back. And for some reason, I kept it outside of me during that next song, during that next side album. And I kept puffing on it. Daft, I know. But I'm not kidding. By the time that record had stopped playing, I needed to have another drag on that vape. and that's been it. How balmy is that? Never smoked, never had to buy cigarettes, never had to buy nicotine, and then all of a sudden, my own stupidity and lack of concentration, or lack of, I don't know what it were, but it was weird how it happened when I was having CBT. I can't blame that, and that's not an excuse. But I think something must have got in my head at that time when I was trying to rebuild my own head, my own thoughts at time. So it's got mixed in, I think. But that's not an excuse, because it is an addiction. Nicotine is an addiction, and I'm addicted to nicotine. I'm addicted to vaping, and that's how it started. So I might spend a tenner a week on juice, 10 or 20, and it's just, I could really do with not chucking that money away. I could really do with not being addicted to a drug. I never thought I'd be addicted to a drug. I never signed up for that when I took a taste of what I thought might be cool or sweet or different. Well, here I am. Yeah, so I did get through that night. I didn't need to go to the shop and buy a vape. So I'm happy with that. And let you into a secret, it's been 2.5 days since that night shift, right? And I still haven't had a vape, and I still haven't gone for me. I've not touched my vape since I put it away in that drawer. Now, what's really weird, and I'll let them off for it because there's a lot going off in our house at the minute, but what's really weird is nobody's picked up on it. Like, Shaz has not said, aren't you having your vape? Max has not said out. Leo's not said out. No one's kind of noticed. I don't think it suited me, vaping. He says that. I might end up... Oh, I don't know. It's just then, I don't want to go back on it. I do not want to make, like, I need to get to end of this week and forget about it. So apparently I've been looking into this, because you do, don't you, when you want to get something done. Apparently 97% of the nicotine that's in your system is gone after 1 day of quitting vaping. Not smoking, vaping. Your body's got rid of 97% of the addiction of the nicotine. So it can only get easier as time goes on. Now, considering I'm on 2.5 days now, so I felt up and down. I've been twitchy, I've been a few cold sweats, a bit like, what do I do? You know, like, because I'm used to like a routine, that thing being there, that addiction, I guess, which is horrible when you think about it. But because I'm in 2.5 days now since I last did vaping, they reckon on third day or first 3 days, that most of it's gone. Like, it's all gone out your system after 3 days. All nicotine traces after 3 days, gone. It's gone. So the only way that you'll want to go back is to think about an old habit. The only way that you'll want to go back is when you associate it with something you used to do that you enjoyed. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a bad thing or a good thing about it. It was just something I did in the end. I think I enjoyed it when I first started. Different flavours, different gadgets. I think it's that gadget thing as well. Like, I'm a sucker for gadgets. So when I've seen people with like clouds control, and you know, like how strong you want it and that type of thing, and like an LCD display or whatever, I was like, that's cool, that device. But is it, you know, you spend it. I'm not going to be one of them that's like, let's say that I get past day 3, 4, 5 and I pick it up again. You know, it's early days. I can't say I've quit. All I'm saying is I'm making decent progress, I believe. And I'm not saying that it's bad for you. I'm not saying go out there because it's bad for you, you need to stop doing it. I'm not telling anybody what to do. Remember, this is my story. This is what I'm dealing with that I said I'd share with you. So I'm not preaching. I'm not here to lecture anybody. But I know I'm dealing with my own head. It's me versus me. I'm not blaming anybody else. So what do you reckon? Do you think I've made some progress? Do you think I've bottled it in first week? I've had some fantastic comments already. So if you could drop me a comment, that'd really, really mean world. I don't even know if I dare ask you to like it, because I've had so many good interactions. But if you like it and you drop me a comment, that just gets it out there. The algorithm with YouTube really likes the interaction. I like it more, let me tell you. I'm really lucky to be. Some of those messages that I had in first week is really what's inspired me to continue. When I drove back from gym and I was mad with myself, I was like, I've got them people that are rooting for me regardless at first week. You know what I mean? So thank you very much. If you're new to this channel and you like my vlog, or you want to watch see how I get on, because this is definitely a series now. I'm not messing about, although I am in a way. Please hit that like. Please consider subscribing to the channel, because that's how my channel will grow. It's free, completely free to subscribe to see how I get on my journey. You know, I'm 53. I'm trying to sort of turn things around a bit. Is it too optimistic? Time will tell. But yeah, I'm doing all right so far, even though this week's been a bit dodgy. But yeah, join in next time, and hopefully on the next episode I will have done some actual training at a gym, and we'll see what updates I've got for you. Cheers.